Well, you can read the title today, so I'm just going to ask you very kindly to subscribe and join a part of the Morgan Shea all kinds of things gang. It used to be Morgan Shea Beauty Gang, but we do so much over here that I just don't think it's fair to only call it the Beauty Gang anymore, because we do so much more than just beauty over here. Well, I have broken my addiction story up into parts just because I feel like there may be people who may just need to hear one part, and it might be triggering for them to hear other parts of the story. So I feel like it just made more sense and may help people more if I broke it into parts. So today I'm going to be telling the beginning of my addiction story. I'm going to go ahead first and put the warning here. Warning, today I'm going to be talking about the beginning of my addiction story. I'm going to be talking about drug use, and I am going to be naming the specific drugs that I did use. But if any of these things are triggering, hurtful, harmful, hard for you to hear, anything for you in any way, please go ahead and click out of today's video. Viewer discretion is extremely advised, and this video is intended for those of a mature audience. Again, viewer discretion is advised, and now is your warning to click out. As always, I will have other videos that may be what you're looking for linked up here in the cards. Sorry, my pinky is still messed up, you guys. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into the video. I like to film these videos when I'm in a good headspace, when I'm in a good mood. You know, it's not been a stressful day. Things seem to be going on the right side of the track. That's when I like to film these videos, because they are hard to make, and it is hard for me to sometimes go back in time and unlock a time capsule, if you will. So today we're going to go back all the way to the beginning, to a time where I was very lost and very heartbroken. We're going to go back to the year 2010. At this time, I was so in love. I sincerely thought I had found my soulmate. And I just want to say at the very beginning of this video, and it is not due to drugs. I want to say that now. This person did not do drugs and did not use drugs. I want to say that very clearly right now. I just want to say, rest in peace. And you will always be in my heart. And there will always be a special place for you right here. Yeah. Rest easy. So at this time, I was dating someone. I was very much in love, and we had found out that I was pregnant. And I was really nervous when I found out I was pregnant, because we were not trying to get pregnant. We were not engaged. We had been together probably about 8 months. We hadn't been together that long. It was really a shock and a surprise. But he was really excited, and that made me even more excited. I've always wanted to be a mom, and I was just so excited to have a baby. Unfortunately, it would not be a successful pregnancy, and 4 months in, I would have a miscarriage. Because of the miscarriage and the time that I was along, the hospital said that I needed to have a D&C. I'm gonna get more into my miscarriage story. That's gonna be a separate video, so I'm not gonna get too much into that. But you guys, it was super painful for me. And I watched a lot of videos from different people who say that it wasn't painful. Some people say it was extremely painful. For me, it was super duper painful, and one of the most painful experiences that I've ever experienced. And not only was it physical pain, but it was also extremely emotionally painful for me. I felt all alone. I was this huge failure, and that it was all my fault. I didn't want to talk to anyone about it. I felt like this huge burden, and like everything was my fault. And I kept asking myself, what could have I done differently? And the doctor told me, you know, that this just happened. You know, it wasn't anything that I did. I was doing everything the way I should have. I was eating better. I was a smoker previously to getting pregnant. I completely stopped smoking. I found out extremely early when I was pregnant, and the doctor said I did everything the way I should have, but I miscarried. So right out of the bat, I just went back to life as normal. However, I was very emotionally torn. And at that time, I really needed someone, and it's not anyone else's fault. And I know that the person I was with was very emotionally upset over it as well. One day I was in a tremendous amount of pain. I mean, it literally felt like my uterus and ovaries and everything was just going to jump out of my skin. I've never ever felt pain like that down there. I was at my nanny's house and I was laying in her recliner, and I literally had my legs like up as far as I could up against my stomach, like curled in a ball. I just was in tears, you guys. I was in so much pain. My nanny, she was like, we're gonna take you to the emergency room because I just don't feel like you should be in this much pain. We went to the emergency room. They said it was completely normal. Went home. I couldn't sleep that night. I was in so much pain. The next day, I go back to my nanny's and she gave me a pain pill. I want to make this clear right now that it is not my nanny's fault. She was trying to help me. I was in pain. She was trying to do what she felt like would take me out of pain. And it did take me out of pain, but unfortunately I would start abusing these, okay? She gave me a oxycodone, 30 milligram oxy. And it was an entire bottle of them. She basically told me to go in underneath her bathroom sink, and she said, there's some pain medicine down there that I don't take. It makes me sick, but I feel like it's gonna help you. I'd already, you know, tried 800 milligram ibuprofen, Aleve, Advil. I had tried everything. Nothing was even touching this pain. I was in so much pain. And I had never taken a pain pill before, and instantly it took my pain away, and it was almost as if my emotional pain was set to the side, and I was able to carry on with life. I ended up going back to work before I had to. In that moment, I felt like all of the emotional things that I had been through in my life were now handled. I didn't have to deal with them now, and it was the best feeling I'd ever felt in my life, is what I thought. So I started abusing these pain pills, and she would keep them underneath the bathroom sink, and I would say, Nanny, can I have it? And she was like, take whatever you want, honey, take whatever you want. And y'all need to understand, she was in her late 70s. She had no idea. She had no clue what she was doing at all. And so that's what I did. And with all of these bottles of pain pills, it literally kept me with my addiction for the first 2 years of my addiction. I didn't have to go and search for anything or anything like that. These pills kept me in my addiction. That's how many bottles there were. It kept me with 2 years of my addiction. I am going to be really honest here as well and say that in the beginning of my addiction, I would say the first 2.5 to almost 3 years, I was very low, I would say low maintenance kind of on how much I took. So 2 pills would keep me good in a day. But towards the end of the 2nd year of me doing pain pills, it got worse. At that point, I'm taking 4, I'm taking 5, I'm taking 6, you know, whatever. As soon as I started to feel that come down, I would take another one. Of course, there were other people in my life who were snorting pills. I didn't know anyone who did it intravenously at this point. Like I told you guys in my last video, I didn't start that until the very last year, a little more than a year of my addiction did that begin. But at the end of the 2-year mark, I'm starting to take it more and more and more. We broke up not very long after I had the miscarriage. It just really tore us apart, and he didn't know, but I had started taking pain pills. He had no clue. No idea. He just thought that I had those few that she gave me right after the miscarriage. He had no idea. Nobody did. And that's how it all started. I knew that I was addicted when I started taking like 4, 5, and 6. So when I needed like 1 or 2 a day, I thought, oh, it's no big deal because I don't need but like 1 a day. Then it was like, oh, well, it's fine, you know, 2 a day. People, you know, it's recommended dosage. Like, I'm still fine. But now that I'm sober and I think back, I was extremely addicted, and I was in that very dangerous place where you are telling yourself that you're not an addict. That's when it's super dangerous, because you clearly in your head think that you're not an addict because you only take this amount a day. Of course, over time, that amount a day is no longer good enough. Now you have to take this amount, this amount, this amount, and so on and so on and so on and so on. Then one day, I could not find, and around here, I don't know if they call them this everywhere, but here they call them Roxy 30s. That was my original drug that I was addicted to until about 2.5 years into my addiction, almost 3 years into my addiction. I couldn't find one. And one of my dealers said, well, I have Opanas. They're a lot stronger, you know, if you want to try one. So I had started taking Opanas, still just swallowing them. And this is before I met that girl that I mentioned in my last video. I didn't know her yet. So before I met her, I was taking Opanas, but I was swallowing them. But the first time that I took an Opana, I was like, damn, this is great. I am where I need to be. This is where I was meant to be all along. This is the drug that is for me. I mean, it was almost like I was completely numb now. When I took that first Opana, I was 100% emotionally and physically numb. And it changed me into this completely different person. I was 10 foot tall. I was bulletproof. I took no shit. I would hurt your feelings way before you'd hurt mine. It created this monster. I met a very dangerous person to meet. I met a drug dealer who had a bunch of kids and asked me to start watching his kids. I became really good friends with his wife. And when I would watch his kids, pick his kids up from school, whatever, sometimes watch the kids weeks at a time, he would give me a ton of Opanas. That's what I meant in the last video where I never had to do anything really dangerous for drug. We'll call him Lucifer. So Lucifer comes to me about 6 months after knowing him. He starts asking me to do something super duper dangerous, okay? I'm not gonna get into it on here, but I ended up doing it. By the grace of God, I never, ever got caught doing what I was doing, but I could have. The beginning of my addiction into the middle of my addiction moved really quickly. I'm just very grateful that up until this point, you guys, I was still a very functioning addict. I would do what I did for Lucifer and his family, and I would go to work. Like, that was my life. That's all I did. I didn't do anything else, didn't hang out with friends, didn't really go see my family. At the middle of my addiction, before I started injecting my dope, I didn't care about anything else at that point. Like, everything had slowly, in the beginning, I was a complete functioning addict. I still did everything normally up until I tried an Opana for the first time. And when I tried that Opana for the very first time, everything in me switched. Everything changed. That was also around the same time that my nanny passed away, and it was complete and utter just chaos, absolute chaos after that point. Anyways, you guys, that is the beginning of my addiction, how everything started. The next story time will be about my miscarriage and kind of going a little bit more in depth into that and, you know, all of that information. These videos are really just for educational purposes only. And I hope and pray that these videos do help someone. That's all I ever ask, is for these videos to help someone who needs it. Things for me got really, really dangerous, and I could have, golly, it could have gotten really, really bad. And I'm just really blessed and very lucky and super duper thankful that it never got that far, that I stopped using drugs. That is just the biggest miracle within itself. Learn from these mistakes. Know that not everyone is so lucky at all. And a lot of people, it goes the complete opposite for. And I'm just very blessed, and I had a guardian angel on my side, clearly. But yeah, you guys, that is the beginning of my addiction story time. I love you all so, so very much. And until next time, bye.